Nightshade Brigade activated. Yes, Queen. Welcome to Nikia Nightshade, Some Like It Hot, very first debate, I guess. My guests today are a good friend of mine, the Red Love, and DJ Morningstar. And you guys can check them out in season 1. I had them on individually, but today I have them both on to debate each other. And I want to let you guys both first start off with this. So there was a debate this past week, and I wasn't sure exactly how we were going to address everything from that debate, but it started off pretty shaky. And the first thing that I wanted to get into is there were a lot of conversations about Joe Biden and his mental state. So, what I want to ask you first, Red Love, is after watching the debate as a Trump supporter, did your mind change about Joe Biden and if he's mentally fit for presidency?
Yeah, I definitely think it's still going to be a big issue. He really seems like he's not there all the time. He seemed really good to me. Like he seemed like he was thinking clear. I was paying attention to him really well. Just that was my whole big thing, was checking out his mental state. He did really well, and he seemed like could actually think. So I thought he did a great job. So
Okay, so
I feel good about him.
okay, good. So now this goes to you, Morningstar. So you heard what he had to say about Joe Biden. What did you think about Donald Trump's performance on the
I
debate?
mean, I feel like if I'm looking at this objectively, even let's say even if I was a Trump supporter, I feel like it was a very poor performance on his part because I know he wanted to come in strong and try to catch Joe Biden. He was trying to get that gotcha moment where he would shut Biden down, and that's why he was like peddling all the stuff about shit about he'd be on drugs or whatever. But I think that he really, I feel like even for some Trump supporters I know, I think that he missed the mark by a long shot. You know what I mean? I think he came in too hot, and I think that he was trying to rattle Biden too much, and I feel like Biden did a good job. I agree that he held his own to this place where you almost started feeling sympathy for him as Trump was trying to bully him.
Right. So now we got your opinions on both how you thought they debated. So now I'm going to stick to the card on these. And I just need a couple of minutes from each of you. So just try to minimize your responses to exactly the point you want to make. And I know that's going to be hard. But all right, so let's be real now. Here we are. It's Sunday morning. And we were supposed to talk about all the topics in the debate, all the things that are going on in the news, and all of the things that are happening in America. But of course, the conversation has been changed again because now we have to talk about Donald Trump being in the hospital. And so he is going into the hospital with pre-existing conditions, although he has claimed that he doesn't have any health issues. It's pretty clear he is an older gentleman. He's definitely of retirement age, and this is debatable, and you can decide how you want to say this, but we've known that he's a little bit overweight. So the question is, do you feel that Donald Trump, I'm going to put this to you first, Red Love, and then I'll go to you, Morningstar. Do you feel that Donald Trump should have worn a mask more frequently, and that if he gets out of the hospital, should maybe he make a national mandate on wearing a mask?
No, I don't think you should make a national mandate on wearing a mask. And it was said since the beginning of coronavirus that 75 to 60% of people were going to get it. The whole thing was you kept hearing this about bending or stretching out the curve, so we didn't get this huge spike and our hospitals got overrun. Everybody, your chances of getting it were high, period. Like, it's not like you're not supposed to get coronavirus. People are going to get it. It's just like you're going to get the flu. Nobody doesn't get the flu. It's a highly contagious virus. I mean, it's only a matter of time for people got it. I mean, the mandate of mask thing, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, but they've been, in the beginning, they said you did have to wear the mask. Then they went to you do have to wear a mask. Now all of a sudden you're shunned upon if you don't wear a mask. So, I guess I don't really would care if they would wear a mask or if they mandated us to wear a mask when we're out or not. I mean, I wouldn't really care about that, but wearing a mask is a big deal. I mean,
Well, you
The
have to
jury's out on that,
understand.
so it's a
You
whole
have to
bunch of different.
understand with what's going on. Not only was he not wearing a mask, but he was also meeting with people. He was also doing rallies. So this is why I asked the question, because he had rallies where tons of people weren't wearing masks right before he had this COVID-19 positive test. So that's why I asked you that question. And so I'm going to go to you, Morningstar, and ask you, now that he's in the hospital, now that he's positive for COVID-19 and doing his updates from a desk they gave him in the hospital, do you think that this should be a time for him to make a national mandate for wearing masks? And also, I'd like to know, do you think that if he had worn a mask, he could have avoided this all along?
For the national mandate, I don't think they should make something where it's like illegal. I don't, you know what I mean? I think that could spark a lot of chaos in this country, and we all see, especially through this country, we're not good at streamlining shit. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of a mess. So I feel like at the very least, if he were to just advocate for a mask, you know what I mean, just say it's smart, it's scientifically smart, and not politicize it and not make it like some kind of freedom bullshit. You know what I mean? I just think that it's like the science says it's a little like I hate masks. That's the thing. Like and I'll be like straight up. I am I fall into the liberal whatever level, but like I personally I can't stand wearing them. But like so I hate when I walk outside and wear them. Like I'll see people who I know, like, oh, dude, you're not wearing a mask, and like I get mad if it looks like I'm making that kind of political statement. So I'm like, no, I support masks, but like I'm not stupid about it. You know what I mean? Like if I know it's something that I need to do and it's gonna reduce my getting the thing or not, then I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? If I'm outside alone or something, you probably will see me not with a mask. You know?
So do you think that, so just to get your final answer on this, do you think that Trump should have just worn a mask all along? This could have helped him?
Yeah, I definitely think he should have worn a mask. I think he shouldn't have politicized it. And I think that first of all, we know that he knew he had the virus apparently when he did all those rallies. So at the very least, he should have done those rallies. But even before then, yeah, they should have had masks. And like they should have, especially when they were like mingling with each other and they had all these events where he's like packing people. It's like like I said, I DJ. You know what I mean? Like my job, I'm out of work. Like if I can't go and DJ to 5,000 people a weekend right now, because of this shit, the botching that happened from our government fucked this whole thing up, and like our clubs are all closed. Like at the very least, if he's gonna hold events and I can't have events, he should be having people where, you know what I mean? Like he should be following protocol.
Okay.
Like,
so then let me go to the next topic. Okay, so he was positive. People around him got sick. Hope Hicks got sick. His wife is sick, and this is all happening in the same 7-day time frame where he met with Joe Biden, and they were on the same stage. Now they did do testing, they did do social distancing, but they did not wear masks. They were in the same room. The chances are much more likely because he was so close to him than if he was maybe across the room from him. So here's the thing: Joe Biden did test negative, and so did his wife, but it usually takes a certain amount of days before you even know if you've caught it from someone you've just recently been around who had it. So if Joe Biden ends up being positive and he has to go into the hospital as well, my question to you first, DJ Morningstar, is do you think they should postpone this election until both President Trump and Joe Biden are of full health?
Absolutely not, and especially because of Trump's trying to pull this shit about already delaying the election, and like my parents come from Iran. I only can hear stories about that stuff, and when I hear about this kind of shit where people in power are saying let's postpone the election, or this is this is rigged, or if it doesn't go my way, like that shit, it's like it hits me on this PTSD level, even though I've never been to Iran, of dictatorships, and when this shit, and people who come from the country will tell you when this shit starts, it's over. You know what I mean? Like that whole free country shit. So it's like I think under no circumstances should the election ever be delayed, even if they're both on their deathbeds. At the very least, I think then Pence should step in. Well, you know what I mean? Like we should make something, but I don't think under any circumstances.
Okay, and so then I have the same question for Red Love. If Joe Biden ends up being in the hospital, Trump is still recovering, and we're getting closer to the election, do you think they should postpone the election?
To me, it just sounds logical that they should. I haven't even heard this question or even thought about it, but if my gut feeling would be, I mean, why not? If they're both sick and they can't campaign correctly, I mean, I would assume, but I mean, I can understand this point too. So, I mean, it wouldn't matter to me. It wouldn't be a big deal. It would, to me, it would be unprecedented for them to fucking to postpone it though. That would be crazy. It just I don't even think they would do that. So it just I I really don't have a thought about that. I haven't thought about that, but it
The
from my
idea,
gut feeling would be obviously you would want them both to be healthy for them to do an election, but then at the same time it's like postpone the election. That's kind of crazy when you really think about it.
that precedent it scares me. You know what I'm saying?
Right? Yeah, it's pretty crazy to like thinking about that.
Break that glass. It's like
Right. I can definitely agree with that. Like I said, just my
Okay,
gut
well
feeling. That's
then,
my first time
now
ever
this
hearing.
goes to what Morningstar actually brought up, which was a perfect lead-in. So I'm gonna read it directly from here because there's too many words. But here's what I wrote down. Trump made it very clear that he was not interested in a peaceful transfer of power, and that he feared mail-in votes would not be counted accurately, and he wanted to delay the election and or push forward the results, meaning what he wanted to do was, and this is from him directly, he said that he wanted to count all of the votes that were there the night of the election and nothing else. No votes that were going to come in the next day. They were going to just collect
You're
whatever was.
grandstanding him though. You are grandstanding him. He didn't say that, so but
No,
just you
he
can
did.
keep going.
Actually, he did say that. He said that he didn't.
That wasn't what he said verbatim though. He didn't say he want to count all the next votes that day, and he didn't want to
He said that
count
he
any
was
votes other.
afraid that some of the mail-in
That's what he said.
votes, right? He's
Right.
that they would be.
But don't grandstand his point though, because he didn't say that. That's all I'm
Okay,
saying.
I'm
You're
not
grandstanding
debating
like
you.
you
I'm
said
just
that.
telling you what I have down here. You can
But you
give me
can't
your
give me a
point.
loaded. But you can't give me a loaded question that he made that point that he only wanted to count votes that night, because then that makes people seem like, oh,
my
that's crazy.
question to you is this: with rampant conspiracy theories online on both sides, do you think that mail-in voting should be counted days after the election, specifically for this election? Because we've seen it happen where they were still counted within 3 to 4 days after the election. Or do you think they should just count and call it the night of the election? That is my question to you.
I mean, Trump said that he didn't. He felt like unsolicited voters cards. He didn't want that. Which I mean, I don't know why that's why would that be such a weird thing for him to say. I mean, that's perfectly reasonable. If you send out something for you want to vote from home and you send it out and get it back and then send it back, that's perfectly reasonable. If somebody's coming to you and trying to get your signature to get a vote, an unsolicited vote, like that's what he was talking about. And that's literally what he said. Now, as far as do I think votes should be counted in one night, we're at a very crazy time in history for this COVID shit. So, I mean, it's almost goes back to the same thing as far as postponing the election. Like it's just would be unprecedented to not count the votes in one night, but at the same time we have to be flexible, and if it's going to take more than one day and it's going to take time to count votes, then that's what it's going to take. I mean, either way you put it out on both sides, this shit is going to be shaky on either side, period, because this is a weird situation. It's going to be weird votes coming in. It's going to be weird that they're not counting them the first night. Everything's going to be weird about it, period, in general. So I mean, that's just how I feel about it. Everything's
Okay.
gonna be weird about it
Well,
in
it's
general.
not unprecedented. When Bush ran in 2000, there was quite a long wait before they counted all of those votes, especially from
What
your state in
months?
Florida. No,
But
it
it's looking
was
like it might be
it
months
was
for
it
them
was
counting
weeks.
now.
It was actually weeks.
Yeah, but I'm saying
Um.
it looks like it might be months. That would be unprecedented for us to
Okay.
take months to
Okay, that's fair
to
enough. So now
find out
to
in
you,
person.
Morningstar, the same question. Do you think that they should call the election the night of? Hello. Do you think that they should call the election the night of? Or do you think that they should give it the time that it needs to count all of the votes?
I mean, every election has they've had mail-in ballots come in late, right? And so with the midterms, it was the same kind of thing. With the Hillary thing, we didn't know the popular vote advantage until like later. So absolutely, I think that they should follow the same protocol. With COVID, I think that gives us extra reason to understand why it might come. Of course, everybody wants nights on like I don't want to sit there for 3 more weeks. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants that. It's gonna be especially for non-Trump supporters. People, like gonna be like hell agony trying to like wait and see if like it's gonna drag it out. But it's like what we got to do. And also, yeah, every single election. So like, why would we, especially during COVID, not have a protocol we've always had where mail-in ballots get counted? And I don't know if the 3 month thing. I don't know if that's something that he said. I don't know if is that something that's been like very. I feel like is that something that's verified, or is he just saying that like 3 months just to scare people? But no, I definitely think mail-in ballots should, of course, be counted, especially in COVID, because a lot of people don't want to wait in massive lines, and there's obviously a lot of proof that especially Republicans are trying to their agenda of constantly is to try to suppress votes. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
they've said it straight out. Like didn't Trump say if more people come out and vote, then we lose?
Okay, so now I want to stop you there because I want to get into the debate
Wait,
now.
hold on. So quick thing, because I want to make sure we're not forgetting this point, is
Okay.
what he said. Because he said, I would think that we could all agree that people coming to your house and trying to get you to give them a vote is a lot different than you sending out something to vote and getting it back and then sending it back. That's what we got to be clear that that's what he was talking about, though. He didn't say specifically you guys mailing out your votes. I don't want that. He said unsolicited votes.
Well,
So
Red Love,
we got to be reasonable about it, though.
They did take out. Okay. Well, if you want to talk unprecedented, I will be very specific. We've never seen the Postmaster General go out of his way to take away mailboxes so people couldn't mail them in. I've never seen that my entire life. They just went around the country and picked up mailboxes. Have you ever seen that?
Okay, but I kind of think you're missing the whole point that I'm even saying, though. Because
no,
I'm not disagreeing with anything you guys said, but I'm saying I would think that, especially him as being a liberal, he can understand exactly what I'm talking about. Is for people to come to your house and try to get votes from you is a completely different thing from you mailing your vote out because you don't want to go out there. That's a completely different slope. And that's exactly what Trump was talking about. I don't think we can say that he's trying to be dictatorship by that statement in itself. There's a bunch of other things you could try to twist and try to say, but you can't twist that.
Well,
that is
I'm not here to twist anything.
That's reasonable, though. So that is a reasonable point to make.
Hold on. One of the things that he did say was that he was concerned about fake mail-in votes from China. He said it. It's on video. So that has nothing to do with going to people's houses. That's about things coming in the mail.
Are people going to people's houses though? Is that like a thing, or is he just making that up? Because
I mean, it has been documented. People are so I haven't looked into it, so I haven't looked into that specific item.
Well,
but
I'm just but
what
I don't know about the votes.
But what I'm just saying is that is a reasonable thing to say. That's not something that's unreasonable. I'm like, damn, Trump, you trying to come on, man. If you lose the election, use the election. But that is something actually reasonable, though. Is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is that is a reasonable thing to say. That's it.
I was gonna say, if somebody comes to your house with a ballot and is like, please vote, then that's obviously. But I've never heard that before, and I'm gonna take a wild guess, and let's do that. He's just throwing that out there as some bullshit thing, because like I never heard of anybody talking about it. But
I have seen that though. The votes, like the votes in the water, like the pictures of the votes, all the the ballots in the water, the ballots in the trash, the ballots with Trump on it.
Okay, well, hold on.
I have seen the pictures. I just haven't looked into the stories.
Okay, let's slow down. So that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other conversation. Just hold on there because I want to make sure I get to these things. So the debate night, most people have looked at it and said there was so much bickering between Biden and Trump that we never got any policy. There wasn't a lot of policy laid out for the American people. So my first question I'm going to pose to you, Red, is how do you think, because we never even got to this, so as a Trump voter, you've already decided you support him. So I want to know, how do you think Trump will help end COVID-19 and get people out of quarantine and back to work?
I can't really make assumptions on what he's going to do because I don't know what he's going to do. I'm not Trump. I mean, I would assume he's going to kind of continue along the path that he's doing now, which is basically work on the most recent vaccine he can and I guess implement his restrictions. I mean, and I live in Florida, so everything's been lifted down here. So I mean, we're chilling, we're fine. So I don't really know exactly what policies he could implement. I mean, I feel like he's already done the job of curving it. So in my opinion, I feel like all that's left to do is maybe try to come to an agreement with the Democrats about some type of stimulus, because we do still need a lot of people definitely still need a stimulus. A lot of businesses still need help. And I definitely agree a little bit more on the Democratic side on that point because but I also can see the Republican side too, because they don't want to put tons of money into it. Like that's why it's really important for both sides to come with that nice in between, but they definitely need to come up with, I think the main thing that he could do would be coming up with a bill, especially trying to help these airlines because they're like getting destroyed. A lot of small businesses getting destroyed, and definitely people definitely still need some type of stimulus just because of the almost like the snowball effect that COVID has had. So I think he could do that, but I also think Biden could do that as well. You know, I think
Okay,
Biden
well,
could do
hold on.
only.
Before we get to Biden, let me go to Morningstar so he can answer the same question. So Morningstar, my question, just so to repeat for you, is if Trump is going to stay in office, let's say that he does, they didn't really have enough time to lay out their policy.
Right.
So if we continue another 4 years, how do you think Trump will handle COVID-19, quarantine, getting people back to work?
I feel like we'll never get out of COVID. You know what I mean? Under this certain thing now that we're in now, because there's no like I mean Biden was right, and it's like there's no plan, there's no concerted mission. I feel like it's so sloppy. He's against masks, and then he's for masks, and then he's like, there's no very small federal oversight to every state kind of implementing their own measures, which is actually not smart. When we have a situation like COVID, I feel like it should really be federally ran, because the problem is when you have states, California's, we're all under quarantine in California. Let's say Florida's under quarantine. So, we have people traveling in and the virus ends up spreading. So it's kind of like we're all quarantining and all our businesses are out of, we're all out of work for nothing, because we have this slow bleed. And it's no coincidence that our numbers are the highest in the world. Places like New Zealand's already got this shit under control. China's got this under control. So it's kind of funny because if you notice, it's actually more either smaller, like, or even like larger communist countries get this under control better, because this is the one moment where like and I'm going to use this loosely, a dictator type character who could literally say everybody, like lock your asses up for fucking 1 month, you know what I mean? And then we'll be wide, that actually
But you can see why that would scare someone like Red Love because and his family,
yeah,
because he wouldn't want they want to feel like they have the same freedoms they had before.
yeah. No,
And so it makes it sound like you're interested in something that maybe you're not, in a dictatorship or communism. So you have to be careful saying those types of things.
Well, that's why I preface, yeah. Like I'm saying, the like, and that would scare me. But that's why I'm saying the one, and that's why I use the term like dictator, or whatever, loosely. Mm-hmm. Where if you can have a federal, character who could say, all right, we have to all kind of, abide by these certain, protocols.
Let me go to Red real quick. Red, you were making a face, especially when he mentioned two things I saw you make a face for. So the first thing was about the everybody on a federal level, because he mentioned how he's in California and it's very different than your life in Florida. And also he said that he thought Obama would handle it better. Your thoughts on that?
Well, first thing is I actually kind of get his point that he's saying if we were a communist place, then it seemed like we at least have one agenda. We have us all on the same agenda.
Like
right. I get what you're saying about that. So he's not basically saying, but my thing is this is right. I see what you're saying. Oh, I get your point you're making, that if we would be able to just have one goal. And in this instance, it would help things. I get that point that you're making on that. Well, the thing is, the federal government, what I was making faces about is that federal government doesn't do shit good ever. Like, public schools are fucking horrible. The DMV's fucking horrible. Everything they do is terrible. Like, why would you want to put the federal government in charge of that? It's just, in my opinion, I wouldn't want that. I get the point that he's making, but they don't do anything good. So, and then on top of it, all these people that don't even like Trump, you're trying to say you want Trump to control all of that? Like, it's so ass backwards to me. I think the states running things like this is a good thing. Each state individually running things a certain way. I get what you're saying though, because we're all on different pages, it kind of makes your
we're not
sporadic. I get that too. So I get your stance. It's just I don't want the government.
Okay, now let me go back to Morningstar real quick. So Morningstar, so we talked about Trump for both of you. You gave me a response about that. Like I said, they didn't really have time to tell us what they do. Biden did give us a taste, but so let's say Biden takes power. Do you think that he will implement the things that are necessary to get us out of the hole that we're in right now?
I think that definitely better than Trump would, because I feel like he would not he wouldn't, if anything, maybe he'll run too cautious, you know what I mean? I feel like Biden, at the very least, would try to implement a situation where he could, make some kind of federal oversight. And I agree that, federal government uses, they're just shit, and like they don't, they're a mess. And, the last thing you want usually is federal government to handle stuff. That's why, if we have a competent federal government, or somebody who can at least kind of have some oversight, or at the very least not make it a politicized subject.
It's always going to be politicized though, bro. Always. That's just how it works.
I mean, if you look at like New Zealand, to where like we shouldn't be like right and left on it. If like everybody was like, yo, let's look at the science. masks help. You know what I mean? We all hate masks, but masks help. We all got to do. We got to do. We have to tackle this on less of we have to rely less on our leaders. Let's put it that way, to be honest, and just be like, how do we get rid of this? And have somebody who just gives us like a calm oversight, who doesn't like pander to one base or the other, and be like, how are we? This is what we should do scientifically to get over this. It might take us 6 months. It might take us 8 months.
All right, hold on. So, but this is a more immediate question that I had to add to this list because of what's going on. So people are in fear. We're getting mixed messages from the media. We're getting mixed messages from the White House and sources outside of the White House saying that Trump is not doing as well as he's claiming. They keep putting him on camera, trying to create some sort of understanding. I think it's mostly for an international thing. It's good to make sure the president is okay. You don't want anyone to think that your president is not okay. So right now, there is a fear that maybe before the election, maybe after the election and he wins, Trump could get COVID, because you can get it again, and he could pass. So if Trump passes and Pence takes power, my question to you, Red Love, is would that be fine with you? Would you be okay with Pence taking power? Do you think America would be okay with Pence taking power? How do you feel about Pence becoming the president?
I mean, I feel that's how presidencies works. I mean, it's the same thing if Biden became president and then he got sick and Harris had to take over. So I mean, yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. So um I think Pence for America would be he's a lot more conservative than Donald Trump. So I feel like we would hear this whole narrative coming out of everywhere saying that he's worse than Trump because it policy wise he would be much more on the right than Trump. So um me, I'm okay with that because obviously I lean more right.
I just want to follow up with what you're saying. So Pence could take power if Trump passes. And they're trying to push through a new judge who I don't know right off the name. Her name is Amy Coney. And they're trying to push her through as well. And she's extremely right wing and extremely religious, as is Pence, which means that they both are they're both anti-LGBTQ rights. They're against gay marriage. They're against Roe versus Wade. They want to redo that. So my question to you is, when you have both of these people who could be taking power, someone like myself and maybe Gigi Morningstar, and we'll get to him in a minute, someone like us, we look at that and we wonder, is that okay with you that so many other people in the country would be losing their rights that they already have or have had established? Or are you okay with that? Because we would want to know. I mean, you're a Trump supporter, so you have to take ownership of everything that comes with the side that you're sitting on. So
No,
are you okay with that many people losing their rights?
well, well, I mean, I guess unlike you guys, I don't take ownership of everything. So I could be one way this way, I could lean a different way this way. I don't just follow all something blindly. Second of all, I don't agree with the narrative that they're just anti-LGBTQ rights. I don't definitely don't agree with that, period. But I definitely am on board with the Roe v. Wade thing because I don't believe in abortions. I mean, it's a human life. No matter which way you try to slice it and bend it, we all know it's a human life. That's why you go to jail for double homicide if you kill a pregnant lady, no matter what term she is. So everybody knows it's a life. So I definitely disagree with that, period. But I completely disagree with the narrative that I have to be one way and follow all one way. I don't agree with that. I have different things that I think about different things. If they got in office and tried to take away rights from LGBTQ people, then obviously I wouldn't want that. I would not want them to take away rights from people. So I mean, that's how I
But you
stand
do
about that.
realize that when you vote for someone and you support someone, that everything that comes with them comes with them. You can
But
say that you don't
it doesn't
agree
mean I have
with
to
it,
support it. Exactly. I mean, you at the
but
end of
by
the day, we
voting
have
for
two
them, it's
parties.
essentially supporting it. Do you
Well, at the end
understand?
of the day, we have two parties. So if I'm gonna have to choose, say I have to choose them, right? If I'm gonna have to choose them taking away gay people's rights, which is what you guys are saying, even though I don't believe that they're doing that, but that's what you believe, or or somebody killing a baby. Obviously, I would have to take the baby, right? I mean, I'm gonna weigh my choices out with who I want. I would not want to take Biden if he wants to keep people's rights, but he wants to kill babies. Like, so I weigh every choice with each candidate about what I agree with the most with them on. Because there's a lot of different things I agree with Biden about, and there's different things that I agree with Trump about. The big things about Trump, which is why I like Trump,
Mhm.
is abortion stance, because that's a big deal to me. Abortion stance, immigration stance, and a lower taxes stance. Those are the stances that I agree with the most. So I'm gonna lean heavy on him with that because those are the things that I want the most. The
Okay.
other stuff, obviously, just because I don't agree with a lot of some of the stuff he says, doesn't mean that I have to vote for Biden just because Biden has certain
That's
things that I
not what
like
I
about him.
said.
It's
I'm
two
just
different
making
people.
it okay.
So you have to choose two different sides. There's no middle person we can
Okay.
choose that
Okay.
lines up with everything you think.
Okay, I that's not what I said. And to be very clear, the things that I am saying to you are not my opinion. I researched them. I'm putting down what is known about both of these people. Mike Pence is known for being okay
It's not a
with.
fact that he wants to take away LGBTQ
Okay,
rights.
well
That's
then
an
let me be
opinion.
very let me be very clear. He is okay with the methods of therapy that are to help gay people turn straight. It is a fact. It's not an opinion. You can look
That's
it
not
up.
taking away rights, though. That's an opinion. If
Okay.
I say Biden wants to take
Okay.
away my rights
And
as a black person, that's my opinion, not a
and
fact.
Judge Coney is very well known to be associated with a extremely right leaning religious sect. Those are things that are in paper. So I'm not giving my opinion. I am just telling you what is out in the information, and then I'm letting you guys decide. I don't. So
You
just
can't give me, but you can't give me an opinion based question as fact, though.
I'm.
Like that's what you're
This is
doing.
the information that is on out
But
there. This
okay, but
isn't
it's
my
like me
opinion.
coming at you saying, "Listen, you support Biden, so Biden's a
I'm not
racist."
supporting anyone.
Now,
I
if you
am
look at
just
all the
I
things he
am
did,
debate.
but
I'm
no,
holding
but
the debate. I'm
I'm
not
giving an
supporting
example though.
anyone. I
But
haven't
I'm
given
giving you
my
an
opinion on anything.
But I'm giving you an example though. I can't say, Nakia, listen, you support Biden, right?
Okay.
Now, why would you support Biden when all these bills he's done against black people, he's obviously racist, he doesn't support black people, he wants to take away black
I'm
people's
just
rights.
asking you
Why would you support him?
questions, and then I'm gonna ask Morningstar now. So
Just saying
Morning.
if you understand what I'm saying, I'm not saying that you're doing something. I'm just saying you're
Okay.
giving a loaded question as a fact when it's
Okay. No.
not.
That well.
An
This is
opinion.
all about loaded questions. So going to you,
But it's an
Morningstar.
opinionated question, it's not a fact.
Okay. Going to you, Morningstar. Let's just say that Trump passes and Pence takes power. Do you think that America will be better off with Pence in power? How do you see America under Pence?
Pence is definitely a homophobe, huge bigot, and but I will say, and I understand that yes, he will be more far to the right, and he's also I think more competent, so I think he'll get more oppressive, let's say right wing agendas passed for people like gay people. The one reason why I actually would support Pence more than Trump being president is one simple thing, and what I realize when I'm talking to Trump supporters online, it's what Trump has done in terms of people's behaviors and this cult mentality that he's got from a lot of his supporters, where you see them waving his flags and shit. That shit is that's a again. I'm going back to the dictator thing, dangerous president. Pence won't amass a cult following who will threaten a civil war if he loses. You know what I mean? He's not gonna like try to stay in office. I don't think he's just gonna be another hard right, homophobic, in many ways bigoted Republican guy. Uh, and I don't think Pence would go to the left. I think the Republican Party would embrace those little kind of left leaning things that they kind of passed to like
Mm-hmm.
you know have some kind of social, try to like break from their social conservatism.
Okay, now let me ask you another question, and I need you to be brief, and I know it's going to be hard to do it, but okay, briefly, who is more of a danger to America? White supremacists or Antifa?
White supremacists, absolutely. Well, Antifa has been around for how long? Antifa's killed how many people? White supremacists have killed how many people? I mean, even in 2018, all terrorist attacks, from domestic terrorist attacks, 100% of them were by right wing, far right, white supremacists, whatever, far right, let's say, groups. Also, hate crimes have gone up and have gone up from where they were when Obama left at record pace since Trump came in office.
Mm-hmm.
We have mass shootings, people quoting Trump's words. The guy who shut up the synagogue was saying caravans, Jewish people were bringing caravans. George Soros.
Hold on, because I appreciate you going into detail, but I want to get Red's opinion on that. Red, you're making faces. Same question to you: who's more of a danger, white supremacists or Antifa?
See, obviously it's Antifa, but they're both fucking terrible. It's just way more Antifa people than fucking white supremacists. That's just, I mean, I don't want to go as far to say that's a fact, but I mean, I think that's pretty well known. It's a lot more Antifa people than white supremacists, so it can definitely cause a lot more trouble.